Hello and happy Friday. Welcome to Season 5, Episode 7 podcast, Doñana County Clerk's Office podcast, Preserving History and Democracy. So we're really shining a light on the democracy today. So my name is Amanda López Askin. I am very proud to serve as your Doñana County Clerk. And
my name is Caroline Zamora, and I am the Chief Deputy County Clerk. And I'm really excited to be here with Amanda today. We don't often do this. I think this is like the second time this season. So I'm like, oh, we're doing a lot of episodes.
What I think is really great is that one of the things I like to do is step back and watch our team shine.
Yes.
And that's not hard to do because they are shiners, so to speak. They're amazing. Just the best. And we have some members of our team that have gotten so invested and taken on this podcast in a way that we never thought would actually happen. Like, we love the way that it's been really just successful and excited about. And sometimes when you work in state government, there's things that you can't be creative with. Yeah. You have policies, you have procedures, you have things you do every single day that are just part of the work. Yeah. So when we have the opportunity to do fun things like this, but still showcase the work that we do, highlight it, and educate our community, offer them information, we do it. And we do it with love and excitement and really an enthusiasm that starting my 7th year as the clerk, it's gotten bigger. Yeah. It's gotten better. So
absolutely. And I think I just love seeing the staff, like you said. I think Cynthia does a great job at keeping us on schedule for this podcast. And then Bern is doing an amazing job with the researching, and the topics that she brings us are so cool. They're so interesting. Such great guests that she finds too. And I'm just so impressed. Jacob, we wouldn't get any of this done without Jacob.
We always sing the praises of our team, but it's because the reality is I am very hyper aware that at the end of the day, I would not be able to be successful in this role, and it's a very public role, without the team that supports me. And so part of the job that I had when I first got here 7 years ago was to shore up our team, give them the tools that they needed to shine, offer them educational opportunities to learn and to grow. And it has come to fruition in a way that I never thought possible. Yeah. So I am just so grateful every single day. And I'm always happy when I can talk about election. It's actually perfect that we're doing kind of a discussion of the upcoming local election. We call it the RLE, which stands for regular local election. And I know folks do absolutely hate acronyms, and I get it. So we'll try to say out the so RLE stands for regular local election. And so that is what is upcoming. And it's perfect that we're doing it today because today is September 19th. And you can hear this probably 50 years in the future, but today is September 19th of 2025. And we are actually on our UACAVA ballots. Yes. Now, UACAVA, again, another acronym. Basically, it's the short version for overseas and military ballots, right? So those are being sent out as of today. We have our deadline, and there's something really exciting about those first ballots heading out.
Yes, I agree. And I just love that they're going out to those who are serving our country and are overseas, who maybe they miss home, but also they still get to vote because, right. They get to participate.
Well, we're fortunate to live in a country and to live in a state in which we encourage and reduce the barriers for folks to, show up at the ballot box and know. There's no other better, person that can do that as somebody who's serving our country and the rights that we, that we hold dear every single day. Yeah. So, a debt of gratitude to them that we have, and the least we can do is get them their ballots out on time. And so, regular local election. What does that mean, Caroline?
Oh gosh, regular local elections. This means we are focusing on our municipalities. So whether it's, we have 5 municipalities in Doñana County. So I'll start up north. We have the Village of Hatch.
I'm not testing you.
Okay, sounds good. The Village of Hatch, the City of Las Cruces, the Town of Mesilla, the City of Sunland Park, and the City of Anthony. Those are our 5 municipalities within Doñana County. Yep.
And so in 2019, which was a year after I was appointed, we began
consolidating.
Well, yes, we began the consolidation of elections, which what does that really mean? So remember back in the day, at least I remember back in the day, when I was growing up, I'd pass by a school like in a random February, and I would see a vote here, and I'm like, who's voting? Like, it's February. Don't we vote in November? I was always so confused, and I assumed it wasn't for me because why would it be in February? Is it an internal school election? I just didn't know, quite frankly. And so what I learned later as a voter was that different municipalities and schools, et cetera, were able to have their election elections as guided by their charter or their governing documents. So what happened in 2019 was legislation was implemented in which every single municipality, so the 5 that she just mentioned specifically, were able to opt in, not just in Doña Ana County, but statewide. Yep. So because we have 5 municipalities in Doña Ana County, we were so fortunate because every single one of them opted in. And what opting in means, we run their elections. That is what we do. That is set in state statute. It is guided by the election code, and we do a great job. So what better partnership for us to do than to run elections? It also was motivating because it decreased the cost to zero for municipalities as well. And so the small ones like Mesilla, who have a very finite, but that's a big deal, you know, to save thousands of dollars, because that means they can put that money into roads or some of the infrastructure that they need for their little municipalities. And what that also means is that we institutionalize voting, right? Yes. So what that means is I'm not a student anymore driving by in a random February going, whose election is that? I know every November, like clockwork, there is an election in New Mexico. And that means whether it's what we think of as the larger one, right, midterms or presidential, in even numbered years, or in odd numbered years, things like city council for any of those municipalities or trustees, depending what you call them, a school board, right? As well as the watersheds, right? They make decisions about waters in your specific communities that are really important and impactful, especially in New Mexico, and then those are elected. Bond issues. So there's a variety of things that go on the ballot, and what happens is when we put them all on the ballot, more people show up, and that means more people are heard, and that means the collective will of our community is better represented. And at the end of the day, that's what we want. I want you to vote and show the collective will and the voice that you have in voting, and it's absolutely imperative that we do that. So we were fortunate because every single municipality said, you know what, we're going to do this.
Yes, we're so lucky. But also I think of, you know, we are a border community. We're here, we're in the same market as Juarez and our friends, maybe like Palomas. We're in the same media market. And so sometimes I hear the ads for the elections going on in Mexico.
Oh, really?
And sometimes I'm like, man, they have an election every month, and that just gives me so much anxiety. But also I'm so excited that here in New Mexico, and in our country in New Mexico, that we know every November, like you said, every November there's an election.
And the only time that would really, we would deviate from that would be with special election. That would be an all-mail election, right? So I always say, like, I've administered 11 elections, and they're like, why that odd number? Well, that one little election, there was a Hatch bond special election that was by mail in January of 2019 that I include because it was an election that we administered. And I think the first all mail that we administered like that one specifically. So we have this to go off of our little cheat sheets. I say we, again, because I think of us as a team. But Cynthia and Jacob do these amazing flyers, these informational flyers that give all of the details that you need for voting in November or early voting, which starts in October. So let's talk about...
Also, real quick, I want to plug that, the new website is pretty great. I love the new website, so I'm going to plug the new website. You can go on to dacelections.com. It's revamped, very easy to use. We have an interactive map. You can see all the things, see all the details about what's on the ballot, everything that we're going to talk about today.
And I think when we think about taxpayer dollars and people very focused on the bottom line and what's the return on investment as a taxpayer, which we are always hyper aware of, I will say that these kinds of things, although they seem trivial, look at our scan codes, look at all of the information, look at ways in which we endeavor to do our due diligence to make sure that people have information access and there are no barriers. The scan codes, I mean...
So easy.
Those are like so ideal. But yeah, let's talk some dates. So today is September 19th, and we are heading into October, which is the first day of early voting. That's
October 7th.
Yeah.
Very exciting.
It's like opening season, so to speak. And I always think of the election in 3 rounds, okay? And because people are like, what's early voting? What's absentee? Why are you open on this time? Okay, so let's break it down. You ready?
Ready.
The first part is when early voting starts, and that is at the Government Center in Doña Ana County off of Motel Boulevard. Some people refer to it as the Taj Mahal, right? Because it is such a big building. Can you believe I feel like we're already growing out of this?
I know, like we have no room in this building.
Yeah, ironically. And so voting starts very specifically on October the 7th, which is a
Tuesday.
Right.
Look, see, even Jacob knew it. was like, it's Tuesday. Good job, Jacob.
So it'll start on Tuesday, but know that at the government center, we function from 8 to 5 in those basically work hours. The government center is 8 to 5. If you were on a Saturday saying, I'm going to early vote, you got to wait a little bit. You got to wait until October the 18th. And that's we expand the site. So this is the second part. That means we have non-traditional hours. We hope to meet people in areas in which they maybe don't have like the average schedule, or they're just busy during that time and they want to come on a Saturday. And that
they have the 8 to 5 and they can't get out during the 8 to 5.
Right. And that's exactly the time that they're locked in. They maybe not be able to get over for the lunch hour. They got to run errands for the kids. They got to go, believe me, I know all these things. That basically is Tuesday through Saturday, 11 to 7. Yep. So it goes a little bit later. It starts a little bit later so we can go a little bit later. And it adds a Saturday. And it adds sites all across Doñana County, right? And having said that, know that you can vote anywhere in Doñana County. If you're looking at these sites and you're going, oh, well, that one's not near me, it doesn't matter. Any voting site, they're called VCCs. Okay, acronym again. Acronym alert.
Voting Convenience Centers.
Okay, convenience being the big kind of word for that, right?
If you work in Hatch, but you live in Anthony, you can go ahead and vote at either, as long as you're in Doñana County.
Yes, and just know that we have a ballot on demand system. We call it a BOD, again, another acronym, ballot on demand system. And really what that means, it's a very fancy word for, we don't print ballots in advance. When you walk up to our voting location and you offer your identification, we pull up a ballot specific to you. You give us that information. You show us your identification. We look you up in our system. We confirm it's you. You sign under 4th degree felony that is you, and you are attesting to that. Then you vote based on your voting address, your basic registration address. You'll head over to our little secure booth and you will fill in all of them, hopefully, at least for each race, and except for ranked choice voting, which is a whole other topic. And you will put it in your our machine. And what do I call it? The ding of
democracy.
Yeah, there's that little that was a test. You passed.
Yay.
The ding of democracy. So what it is basically is when you put your ballot into our tabulator, you do hear a ding and you see it go uptick 1. And there's something very satisfying about that.
I agree.
Yeah.
And I also love hearing the folks who are first-time voters.
Yeah. So when I got here several years ago, I was like, we should do that. And then finally a couple years ago, why don't we do it? Like, that doesn't make any sense. So
we have a little cowbell. That's what we're talking about.
So I asked our team to basically to highlight first-time voters, whether they're a new citizen or whether they just turned 18, to punctuate that at each voting location when they do vote by giving them kudos with the bell. And often that leads to, because people are there want to see more of that.
I have a story.
Tell me.
It was the first time that when I had first started working here, and the first election I was a part of.
Oh, and you
survived. I survived, but I was down the hall and they had rung the bell, and I was so excited because it was an 86-year-old woman voting for the first time.
Oh, see,
I know.
Chills.
I know. I'll never forget it. Yeah, I'm never going to forget that one. Yeah.
Yeah, I have a handful of stories like that when we go into the administrative items every day that can sometimes seem annoying.
Yeah.
You got to sign this. You got to write a memo. You got to do this, right? Because our job is very administrative also. I remember the why and those handful of stories that I have that I can always choose from that humble me. And say, this is why I'm here. This is not about me. Yeah. And that's an easy thing to say when I hear those. Okay, so phase 1 is the early voting at the government center. Phase 2 is the expanded early voting that starts October 18th, and that's across Doñana County. And those locations you can find at dacaelections.com. That's the website that we love. That's the one you can click on. You can find it. And you can you forget what I'm saying. You don't want to rewind me. That's fine. All that information is there. All of this information is there. So please head there and get that information and send the link. Send it on to your kids. Send it on to your family members. We really want to increase turnout for these local elections, because what I know to be true is that decisions that are made at a local level often impact us the most. And so we know that there's this national chatter going on, and feel how you regardless of how you feel about it, that's happening around us. But at the end of the day, who is leading your city council, who is running your schools, those are things that impact us every day. And specifically, I have a 9-year-old. So I'm very tuned into the school board and what they allow, what they don't allow, what they support, some of the policies that I believe would be helpful, harmful, all of those things. And so those decisions that I make, I'm very careful when I vote for those, because I always think of the ripple effect that has, not just with our community, but personalizing it to myself and more importantly than me, my daughter.
Yeah. And you know what? I recently moved into the city because I've always lived out in the county.
Yeah.
And so now I'm where I never really paid attention to municipality, city stuff. And now I'm like, now I'm much more attuned to what's going on in the city.
Yeah, you are, because you do see the impact, whether it's county, we're kind of like the Wild West in a way. We kind of accept some of the things that, maybe they just are, because you choose to live in the county, there's a lot of choices you make, even connected to infrastructure. Right. But in the city, it's a whole different ballgame. And so you can make your asks of your elected officials can be different. And so for sure, that is something I'm sure you notice. But so then the last and most important day, and I will say this because culminates in this day, would be our version of basically Super Bowl. This would be the Super Bowl, is November the 4th. And November the 4th is election day. There's 42 convenient voting centers all across our county. We are open 7 to 7. And basically that's when the magic happens, right? So let's talk about ranked choice voting.
Ranked choice voting is, I think, one of the more talked about issues this year, which I feel is interesting because this is going to be, the third election?
So we started it in 2019 and 2021, 2023.
So it's the fourth.
And this is the fourth.
The fourth time that the city of Las Cruces has used ranked choice voting.
Yeah, and let's talk about that, because I always get questions like, do the school board do it that way? Does the no. Literally within the 5 municipalities, the one that does it that way, so to speak, the one that chose via their leadership within the city council to administer elections with ranked choice voting is the city of Las Cruces. And basically, I simultaneously refer to ranked choice voting as
instant runoff.
Thank you. You are.
I'm on it today.
It is an instant runoff, right? There's always this question about, is my vote going to count? Is my vote going to count? Yes.
Yep.
And yes, we hope that you rank or exhaust a ballot, which means you rank all of the candidates that you can live with or you offer some level of support with, although you have a right just to rank one and vote what I call classic. We don't want you to stay away from the ballot box because you don't understand the ranked choice voting system, which is fine. There's never any judgment from us. We're glad you're there.
Yes.
And or you can rank all the candidates in order of preference, and keep in mind that after that first election, so to speak, we basically run the first round, right? And I like to call it the first election because I think of it as we are doing runoffs. So that first election, basically at the end of it, if there's not a 50% plus one vote, basically a majority of a candidate did not receive that, then the candidate with the lowest amount of support and votes falls off. And if the person that voted for their favorite cousin who just didn't happen to win that first round allocated or ranked the other ones, it goes into a second round, like a second election, like a runoff, and then those are allocated. And then it continues to move forward until there is a 50% plus one. Yes. And so if you think about it as an instant runoff, think about it around as a different month. Oh, I voted in this November, and this November, and this November, and this is what came out. I think that's helpful for voters, and we hope that they participate. I mean, it has actually really increased turnout incrementally, and so we look forward to it doing it again this year.
Also, Jacob is going to go ahead and put in one of the videos that we created that tells you a little bit, goes into more detail with some really great visuals about ranked choice voting. Again, ranked choice voting, you will only see ranked choice voting on your ballot if you live in the city of Las Cruces.
Right, so don't be looking for it and planning for it if you don't do that.
Yeah.
But we have gone on and on per usual, but a lot of this information, actually all of it, is on dacelections.com. Please visit our website, utilize it, spread the word, look up your voter registration, votenm.org. You can see your status, your address, make sure you are registered correctly, updated if necessary. If you have any questions, you can always call our office, right? We're handy and helpful and all the things that we should be, and we definitely appreciate you watching today and listening, and listening, because we have a YouTube, So you may be seeing us, or you may be listening on your car because you want up-to-date information on elections. But either way, we appreciate you tuning in and giving us your time.
Yeah, and we're going to do some more videos about whether it's same-day registration. We're going to go more in depth into absentee voting and absentee ballots, the permanent absentee list. But be sure to follow our social media accounts. We put out lots of information. Again, you'll find all this information on dacelections.com. And Amanda, I'm so glad we rarely do this, but we've done this twice this season.
I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
I want to do the election ones. Those are fun.
Yeah,
it's all
absolutely
fun, to be clear.
Yeah.
But these are like my...
These ones we nerd out a little bit.
These are my love language.
I know. We do nerd out a little bit. Look at Jacob's laughing at us.
Right.
But we do nerd out. But yeah, this one was a fun one.
Yeah.
Thank you for listening. My name is Caroline Zamora, and I'm joined by our amazing clerk, Dr. Amanda López Askin. And we'll see you next time.